I went back some of the charts in my practice, going back 25. I've been in practice over 30 years. I don't hardly believe I look that old, but I am. We used to have kids, we just said they were retarded. They didn't function. They didn't speak. They even had some repetitive gyrations, so we didn't call them autistic. So the question in my head, this is what bothers me the most. A severely retarded child with really a very low IQ, is that all those kids be labeled autistic today? Or can we say they aren't autistic? How do you differentiate? Is there any way?
Well, a good diagnosis, clearly the kids that have severe or profound mental retardation and have autism, there's no reason why they can't coexist. In fact, they do coexist. But
well, the reason I say that, I would like to add another criteria, potential. If the kid has no potential of communicating, no potential of functioning verbally, I don't know what I want to call that. I think we should call it 1A, 1B, because when we talk about the word autism, we do studies that say, oh, we found autistic rates are increased because a father over 40 has a greater risk. What are they talking about? A little smidgen of a speck? A severely retarded kid that's been labeled autistic because he has things I mentioned? That bothers me, because how do you make progress if you don't label what you're talking about?
Well, I think first of all, I've never met a child that doesn't have some potential, ever, regardless of their functioning level. You just have to change your vision of what potential is in some cases. But I think the really important question here is, if you have a profoundly retarded child who has autism, the way I would intervene to get to whatever potential that child has would be different than if I had a child who was profoundly retarded without autism. And I know that sounds very ambiguous, because how do you distinguish between the two?
We appreciate what you're saying. I understand that.
So
that bothers me, because when I hear autistic rates going up, have we taken kids from one category that we didn't normally do 25 and 30 years ago and put them in here, so the rates may not be increasing, we just add more to the definition, or there's really an increasing rate of autism? Because I'd like to know what the real labels are.
Well, I think the epidemiological studies, as well as the people who are really looking at that, would say that there's no one reason why the rates are going up. The rates are going up.
That's a little bit of it.
Well, clearly we are better at diagnosing, right? So people are better at identifying cancer today quicker, because and so we are identifying people who have autism that 20 years ago probably would have been called mentally retarded, or called speech language impaired, or called emotionally disturbed, and today they're being called as having an autism spectrum disorder. That's part of it. The second part of it is we've broadened our classification system. So prior to 1994, we didn't have Asperger's disorder in our classification system. So all those kids that...
that doesn't mean it didn't exist, we just didn't label it.
Clearly it existed. I mean, if you read the literature, they would argue that autism clearly has existed, since the...
Caveman, maybe.
Absolutely. There are descriptions of children who would be defined as having autism.
We have the term congenital schizophrenia.
Right.
They were probably autistic, weren't they?
Probably. I mean, remember, in the 60s and 70s, it was believed that these children were psychiatrically impaired. So a lot of the young adults, the people in my adult program who are in their 30s and 40s, when I go back through their records, they don't have a classification of autism or a diagnosis of autism. They were diagnosed as childhood schizophrenic.